The process server handed him the thick white envelope right at the corner booth of the most expensive steakhouse in town, right as he was raising a glass with a woman who definitely was not me. I know this because I was sitting in my car across the street, watching through the front window as his comfortable double life imploded in front of a dozen dinner guests. I paid extra to make sure those papers were delivered at that exact moment, on the exact night I knew he would be celebrating with her. 6 months earlier, I was just a naive wife who thought my 11-year marriage was built on solid ground. My name is Clara, and I spent over a decade building a life with a man named Julian. We had a charming home, a loyal dog named Cooper, and a quiet routine that felt completely safe. But everything shattered on a mundane Tuesday afternoon while I was organizing our annual tax documents. Tucked behind old mortgage statements in his desk drawer, I found an unfamiliar credit card statement from a private bank account I never knew existed. There were thousands of dollars in charges for luxury hotels, designer, boutiques, and expensive flower deliveries. Sitting on the hardwood floor of his home office, I felt a cold, sharp numbness spread through my chest as the math refused to lie. When Julian walked through the front door that evening, smiling and complaining about a hard day at his financial firm, I served him dinner without uttering a single word about what I had discovered. I knew that if I confronted him right then without a clear plan, he would simply lie, minimize, and turn the situation against me. I needed absolute proof, and more importantly, I needed to figure out who I was going to be once the dust settled. Over the next few weeks, I began paying close attention to every detail of his changing schedule. I noticed he had suddenly taken up early morning workouts at a gym he never used to attend, and he was working late every single Thursday, with suspicious consistency. It did not take long to figure out her name was Chloe, a younger associate from his firm. I found her social media profile, where she proudly displayed a luxury handbag that matched the exact 4-digit charge on that hidden credit card statement. They were not even trying to hide it carefully anymore. Instead of exploding in anger, I took a deep breath and called my sister Nora, who urged me to keep my composure and protect myself legally before taking any dramatic action. She reminded me that men like Julian only admit to what you can visually prove with hard evidence. The very next morning, I walked into the modest office of a trusted family law attorney named Brenda. I laid out the bank records, the property deed, and the credit card, statements on her desk, ready to figure out my next move. Brenda gave me direct, practical advice about protecting my own personal finances immediately. She advised me to open an independent bank account and begin quietly securing my own income before Julian realized I knew the truth and tried to freeze our shared assets. She also explained that while our state allowed no-fault divorces, documenting marital funds spent on an affair would hold him accountable during the division of our property. That afternoon, I stopped hoping for a miraculous misunderstanding and started strategically building my defense. The urgency to protect myself grew even stronger during a Sunday family dinner at his mother Evelyn's house. While passing dishes around the table, Evelyn casually mentioned that Julian was considering selling our home because my work schedule was supposedly keeping me away from home too much. I looked across the table at Julian, who refused to meet my gaze as he smoothly shifted the conversation to a potential kitchen renovation. I realized in that exact moment that he was already orchestrating a false narrative to make himself look like the victim. That calculated betrayal turned my lingering sadness into absolute clarity and steel determination. Working closely with Brenda, I discovered that Julian had quietly siphoned over $10,000 from our joint savings account to fund his secret life. He had even recently purchased an expensive diamond ring that was currently sitting in a hidden drawer in his office. He was actively constructing a brand new future with another woman, using funds that belonged to both of us, while pretending everything was perfectly fine at home. Brenda immediately filed an emergency motion to freeze our joint accounts to prevent any further unauthorized withdrawals. The bank was set to notify Julian on a Friday morning that any future transactions would require both of our legal signatures. To top it off, I arranged for a professional process server to deliver the formal divorce petition to Julian at 7:30 that same evening, right during his anniversary dinner date with Chloe at that upscale steakhouse. Sitting in my car that Friday night, I watched through the lighted restaurant window as Julian sat across from Chloe, laughing and enjoying expensive wine. Right on schedule, the process server approached their table and placed the legal documents directly onto the white tablecloth. I watched Julian freeze in absolute shock as Chloe leaned in with a look of utter confusion. Within minutes, a tense argument broke out between them, resulting in Chloe walking out of the restaurant alone, while Julian sat in stunned silence. When Julian finally arrived home later that night, he found me sitting calmly in the living room with Cooper by my side. He tried to offer excuses, talk about his loneliness, and blame the breakdown of our marriage on mutual distance. I looked him in the eye and told him that any further discussions regarding our property and assets would go directly through my attorney. I refused to engage in an emotional argument because I had already emotionally detached from the person he had chosen to become. The divorce process took 5 months, during which the judge awarded me the house and a larger share of our remaining assets to compensate for the stolen funds. Chloe broke off their relationship shortly after the restaurant incident, realizing he was not the man he claimed to be. I repainted the interior of my home, changed the locks, and finally reclaimed my peace of mind. Looking back, those 3 quiet months of gathering proof were not about revenge, but about finding the strength to walk away on my own terms. If this story reminded you to always trust your instincts and stand up for your worth, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more powerful real-life stories every single week.